Hey everyone, welcome to another Good e-Reader review. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
We have here the 8th generation Kindle. This is the 2016 Kindle Basic Touch. Things have changed. There's Bluetooth on this. The RAM has been increased from 256 to 512 MB on this, and internal storage has been upgraded. So if you have the older version of this, you only have 2 gigs of memory to play around with, but this has 4 gigs, so it'll store more PDF files, more downloadable content.
The Kindle looks like pretty much every other Kindle, except they've gone back to the recessed screen, and this will be a big change if you've had the Voyage or the Oasis. So it's a recessed screen, meaning it's not flush with the bezel. There's nothing on the top, either of the sides or the back, other than the logo. Everything's located at the bottom. Status indicator light, power button, and the micro USB port.
So this is a special offers edition, and as you can see, recommended for you. And you can see that Amazon, in the last about a year or so, they have revised the home screen, but you can go back to the old style Kindle home screen if you want via the settings menu. We actually have a video on YouTube that walks you through step by step exactly what you have to do. All settings is basically, you know, everything: Wi-Fi, registration, device manager, and so on. You can see here that the UI has been revised at the top. If you haven't been using a Kindle for the last year, it's really been enhanced. For instance, Goodreads, it used to have just a G, but now it actually says Goodreads, and a store actually says store. If you've never used Goodreads before, it's basically like a social book discovery site / ebook community. You could flag books that you want to read, attach it to Facebook, so whenever you start reading a book, it'll add it to Facebook. Hey, here's the book I'm reading, and people could like check it out. The quintessential Amazon store. Amazon roughly controls about 75% of the ebook market in the United States and 95% in the United Kingdom. They are pretty well the ones to beat for ebooks and things like that. If you click on My Library, you kind of go to the quintessential. This, you know, if you've had a Kindle for years, or whether you had it, you know, whether you've been a Kindle user for like a few years, or you've been doing business with Amazon forever, this is fairly sort of standardized.
So right now we're on all items, and these are the ones that we have downloaded. You can also click on all. This will show things that have been downloaded, and you'll see we have 6 pages of them. It'll also show things that you have in your cloud. But for the sake of an ebook, we will click on something we have downloaded already.
Alright, so one thing we kind of mentioned during our unboxing video is Amazon has developed a new font called Ember.
Yet another font.
Right, so this, I believe that this Kindle Basic is the first e-reader to actually have Ember on it. But correct me if I'm wrong, YouTube. What's the difference? Well, you notice that there are more spaces between the words now, pounded through her wind of steel. And then if you throw on like Bookerly, you notice that there's less spaces between each word. So it's sort of like uncompressed versus compressed.
There's many ways you can change the text. If we go back to the AA button, you can change the text to the biggest text. You can see that. Or the smallest. Everything changes live. You have many different font styles, and you have line spacing, margins, and orientation into landscape. You can also do stuff like make some notes, and they've gotten rid of all the squares surrounding each individual key, so now you would just type in the actual word instead of...
How's the typing feel compared to previous Kindles?
It is very fast. I wouldn't say it's light years ahead of previous Kindles, but it is very responsive and crisp. You also have more options for reporting content errors and sharing and making highlights and such. So all the usual Kindle features are here.
Alright, of course, Amazon has a feature called X-Ray. Basically, the people, places, and things on a book. When you're reading a book and maybe you put it down and came back to it maybe a few weeks or a month later, it may take you a while to kind of get back into who are these characters again?
Yeah.
But you can see that Mary Laire LeBlanc is probably one of the most powerful characters because they were referenced 478 times. But Werner here was mentioned 710 times.
Dear
so
God.
obviously this person is mentioned a lot.
It's because he has a silent P at the beginning of his name.
But yeah, terms. So if you want to be like, what's the history of Saint Malo? And then you can just click here and it will mention it. So I think that's kind of cool. I think X-Ray is very underrated.
Here's a PDF. You can adjust the orientation and margins. You can also adjust the contrast because when we started it was actually quite dark. Now you can see the picture is quite clear. If we pinch and zoom, we can pinch and zoom as well as lift our finger and continue pinching and zooming. You can also take reference to the mini map on the corner. A lot of e-readers don't let you do that.
Yeah, you take your hand off and it'll start rendering.
Yeah, once we let go, take a little bit of time to render. It actually takes quite a bit of time compared to the newer Kindles.
Like the Oasis
Yeah,
and the Voyage, for
you can
sure.
double tap to get out. You can long press as well, but we found that took a little bit of time too. It takes about 5 seconds start to finish, but you can do all the same functions like highlight notes, share, and even translation. So if your PDF is in Norwegian or something, you can translate it to English or complex Chinese or pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And page turns are relatively fast. Now, Kindles pre-Paperwhite, actually pre-Paperwhite 2, have had tons of problems with PDFs, but because this has an adequate amount of RAM, it actually runs PDFs pretty decently. A little bit of time delay in between long presses and renders, but overall it can function quite well.
Yeah, I would probably say that with a Monsters manual or a D&D thing, this e-reader is not good for it. It might be good for manga, but I think that
probably
would be about it. So we'd like to hear from you. What do you think about the new Kindle Basic, the 8th generation Kindle? Drop a comment below. For GettyReader.com, my name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Everybody take care.